Come on, come on, come on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're live right here on the Ramonepreston Show. It's Millionaire Millie Monday. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. It is December the 12th, Millionaire Monday, right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. I want to say welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you don't know, now you know. I'm Ramonepreston, Prophet Apostle Ramonepreston, and I am the host of the Ramonepreston Show. And I'm here along with my squad. We're live in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. And today, I'm going to be talking to you about making the wealth decision. Making the wealth decision. This is going to be a good discussion that we have today, but here's what I need you to do. I need you to hit the like button. I need you to hit the share button. I need you to tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know Prophet Ramon, the squad. We're live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta on this Millionaire Monday, December the 12th, 2022. Hey, listen, we ain't got them about 19 more days remaining in this year. And we're going to do everything we need to do to end 2022 strong. And we want to end 2022 strong in every area of our lives. And so I want to say welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time, I come on this show to share information with you that I know you can use to properly start, properly structure, properly scale your business, your ministry, your income stream, and your wealth building dreams. Maybe you're like me. You want to do it all. You want to see increase, abundance, and overflow in every area of your life. Well, guess what? If you want to see that increase, abundance, and overflow in every area of your life, specifically in your business, ministry, or in your finances, you have to have the right principles to put to practice. And so I make sure that I use this show every Monday through Friday to give you those principles that you can put to practice. As a matter of fact, if you don't know, I've been a full-time entrepreneur for the past 19 years. My wife and I, we got married 19 years ago, and we made the decision, even when we were preparing to get married, that we was going to be full-time entrepreneurs, we were going to be full-time ministers, and we was going to do the doggone thing in both areas as best as we possibly can. And I'm so grateful to God that I made that decision 19 years ago, because it was a wealth decision. And that's why I'm going to be talking to you today about making the wealth decision. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this particular discussion up is because a lot of people are already starting to think about their New Year's resolution, like what you gonna do for 2023. I was telling my wife and a couple people I was talking to, I said, I'm gonna take me a cliche for 2023. It's all about me in 2023. I need to focus on doing some stuff for myself and for my family. And guess what? You might be feeling the same way. You might be feeling like, you know what? I want 2023 to be a powerful year. I want it to be a successful year. I don't want to perpetuate the same cycles in 23 that I have been struggling with in 2022. Well, guess what? If you are preparing to end certain cycles and create new cycles in 23, if you want to get the bag, you want to build your business, you want to see your ministry explode, you want to get your finances right, you want to save money, you want to get out of debt, anything that you are endeavoring or intending to do economically in your life, it all begins with you making the wealth decision, okay? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, if you're coming on live, do your boy a favor. Please, pretty please do me a favor. Put in the comments what city you're watching your homeboy from. Let me know what city you're watching me from. Just put in the comments what city, who you represent. Put in the comments, let me know who you're representing, because I want to know where you're watching us from. We have people from everywhere that watch the Ramonepreston Show. As a matter of fact, we had a team meeting this morning like we try to regularly do, and my son, who works full-time for our company, he is remote, but he does work full-time. He is my content creator. He's my social media manager. So he manages all of our social media accounts. If you see reels and stories and TikToks, you don't stop, and all the things you see going on, most of that stuff is because my son, an amazing young man, stays on top of our social media. But he was giving us a lot of the stats and a lot of the numbers and a lot of the analytics in our team meeting this morning, letting us know how things are going on social media. And he was telling me that platforms like YouTube, which we stream live on, Facebook, which we stream live on, TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn, these are platforms that see thousands of new viewers on a day-to-day basis. So every 30 days, every month, we see a new cycle of new viewers that come on the Ramonepreston show. And that's one of the reasons why I always ask for you to put the city that you're watching me from in the comments, because we have people from all over the world that watch the Ramonepreston show, especially people who really want to learn biblical economics, people who really want to figure out new creative ways to get the bag. And there are people even in the faith community and outside of the faith community who want to figure out how to build successful businesses. I built a successful business. I built a successful ministry, a successful nonprofit organization. And I'm continuing to build both of them and expand both of them. So I know that it's possible. I know that as long as you have the right principles that you could put to practice on a day-to-day basis, you can take whatever it is that you're doing to the next level. So now let's get to this discussion today, making the wealth decision. Making the wealth decision. We call it the wealth decision. Now, why are we calling it the wealth decision? Because it's a decision that only you can make. Can't nobody make this decision for you. It's a decision that you have to make. And you have to want to make it. You have to be willing to make it. And you have to understand when you make it, what exactly is the decision that you're making. So when you think about making the wealth decision, here is one of the key words I want you to think about. I want you to think about the key word freedom. Because making the wealth decision is about you having the freedom to do what you want with no financial restrictions. Now, I want you to wrap that around your mind. Okay, let me back that thing up and say it again. When you make the wealth decision, you are essentially making a conscious decision to want freedom, to experience freedom. So when you say to yourself, man, I want to be free. I'm tired of struggling. I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to have more month than I got money. I want to be able to get the bag to take care of my mama them and my siblings and my children and grandkids. And I want to be able to help my church, and I want to help build a community center, and I want to save souls around the world. Whatever the things are that you want to do. Everybody got their own things that they want to do. But whatever those things are, when you start tapping into those deep-seated dreams and desires, what you realize is you do not have the resources to get them done. And then the next thing you realize is, wow, in order for me to get the resources to get them done, I got to change a whole lot of things up. Well, the first thing you need to change is the decision that you make. And making the wealth decision is about you deciding that you want freedom. You want freedom. And I want you to put that in the comments if you're with me on that. I want you to put in the comments, I want freedom. We should be picketing. We should be getting signs picketing that. I don't know where we're going to go and picket, but maybe we just need to put a sign in our yards, or we need to put a sign in our hearts. I want freedom. I want freedom. I want freedom. I want freedom. What do you want freedom for, Ramon? What do you want freedom for, viewer? I want freedom to do what I want to do with no financial restrictions. This is the wealth decision that you have to make. Now, in order for you to make this wealth decision, okay, in order to make the decision that you want freedom to do what you want to do with no financial restrictions, there are some areas that you have to make this decision in, okay? And I want to give you these areas because these areas are critical, which, by the way, when I host a lot of my webinars and web classes and even a lot of my in-person public events like our masterminds or some of our boot camps, we always start those events off with certain segments discussing things that are related to the wealth decision. I always put like making that wealth decision at the top of the priority list, because anything else that you want to learn in order to become better at in business or ministry or leadership or sales or marketing or finances or operations or entrepreneurship, all of those things hang on the hinges, or they are totally dependent upon you having made the wealth decision. So let me give you an example. If you try to make a decision to be a better marketer, if you try to make a decision to expand your business, if you try to make a decision to make more sales, if you try to make a decision to hire people or to hustle a little more, all of those decisions are going to have challenges. You're going to face a lot of challenges. You're going to have a lot of days that you ain't going to want to do it. You ain't going to feel like doing it. You're going to get sick. The dog going to eat your homework. You know, all these things that come up, right? That give you a reason to check out and to not continue to pursue it. But if you've made the wealth decision before you start doing it, that's going to be the motivating factor, because you know, oh, I've already made the wealth decision. I've already consciously and subconsciously decided that I want freedom. I want freedom to do the things I want to do without financial restrictions. And now when I run into an issue making sales, now when I run into an issue hiring people, now when I run into an issue with a vendor, now when I run into an issue expanding my business or learning operations or figuring out how to lead people better, whatever the things are that I run into as challenges, my wealth decision keeps me motivated and fueled to push past those challenges. So once you make the wealth decision that you want freedom to do the things you want to do without financial restrictions, here are the areas that you have to start dialing in to groove that decision into, okay? I'm going to give you these areas. I've got 5 important areas that I want to give you, and then we'll talk about each of the 5, okay? So there's a spiritual area that you have to dial in with this wealth decision. There's a mental area. There's an emotional area. There's an environmental area. And there's an economical area. Okay? Those are the areas. Those are the areas that you're going to have to dial into and groove into your heart when it comes to making the wealth decision. So remember, the wealth decision is all about #freedom. Freedom. That's what the wealth decision is about. And see, this is why a lot of people that I talk to who have an issue with money, they got an issue with business, they got an issue with all these things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis on the Ramonepreston show, whether you are a part of the faith community or not. When I talk to people who have all these lame excuses about, oh, it ain't all about money, it don't take all that, oh, we don't need that to be this, and I could be happy and content where I'm at, all this lame stuff that people use as excuses, when I hear that stuff, I already know it's really because that person has never really made the right wealth decision. They may have made the decision, but it wasn't no wealth decision. And if it was a wealth decision, it was a decision to never get wealth. But they never made the decision to accumulate wealth, or in other words, to experience freedom to do the things they really want to do in their heart with no financial restrictions. Because when you make the wealth decision, what happens is that decision, it provokes a desire for freedom. And the freedom is for you to do the things you really want to do. And most of us who want this level of freedom without financial restrictions, it ain't freedom just to buy more clothes or to live in a bigger house or drive a better car or get some bling bling or just travel and loaf and, you know, enjoy life. That might be a part of it. That comes with the package. But it ain't really about that. It's about the things we want to do to serve our communities, to be a blessing to our church, to help our family, to help finance certain endeavors. My wife and I, everything that we do is connected to helping other people, serving other people, being a blessing to other people. But we're not able to do those things if we don't have freedom. And we don't have freedom if we never make what? The wealth decision. So I want you to just settle that into your heart today that, okay, based on what Ramon is telling me, I got to make the wealth decision. I have to make a conscious and even subconscious decision that I want to be free to do the things I want to do with no financial restrictions. Okay? Don't try to make sense of it. Don't try to figure out how you're going to get to this place of freedom. Don't try to figure out all the details of this journey. Just make the decision. Okay? Just make the decision. Just make the decision. Just make the decision that I want freedom. Okay? Now, once you make that decision, it's time for you to dial in on areas that you need this decision grooved into. Here's where these 5 areas come in at. The first area is spiritual. Now, why is the wealth decision connected to anything spiritual? Well, for me personally, I believe wealth is biblical. There's a scripture in Deuteronomy 8:18 that actually says it is God that gives you and I the power to get wealth. I ain't preaching, but I'm preaching. It's God that gives you the power to get wealth. But if you read Deuteronomy 8:18, it actually says, for it is He, God, that gives you and I the power to get wealth, comma, so that He may establish His covenant on the earth. So God don't give you the wealth, but God gives you the power to get wealth. Okay, so if God gives me the power to get wealth, to obtain wealth, it's like having a door with treasures in a room, and I want the treasures in the room, but in order for me to get the treasures in the room, I need the key to the door. And then somebody comes along and says, well, I'm not going to give you the treasures in the room, but I'm gonna give you the key to the door to get you in the room. So now what do I have to do? I have to take the key. I have to figure out how to use the key. I've got to put the key in the door. I've got to open it, and I've got to walk across the threshold to get the treasures in the room. Well, this is what God does. At least this is what He implies in Deuteronomy 8:18. For He gives you power to get wealth. So I believe God will give you revelation. God will give you ideas. But you have to take that revelation, the ideas, the ingenuity as a human, the creative abilities that God deposits inside of you. And I believe you got to complement that with intelligence. This is where your financial education comes in at. This is where financial literacy comes in at. This is where learning about business ownership and investments and all the things that relate to wealth come in at. You have to become educated and get financially literate on these things so that you can start putting them to practice. So it's like, okay, God gives me the power to get wealth. Revelation, He gives me anointing. He gives me this divine ability. I've got to take that divine ability, that key, and I've got to plug it into the door of educating myself, getting better at business, learning the ins and outs of all this stuff that I want to do. And then I got to put that stuff to practice. So you have to take your wealth decision, dial it in, and groove it into the spiritual aspect of your life. Whether you accept it or not, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. And if there's no spiritual depths to you in your pursuit to wealth, you're not going to endure the challenges. Most people gas out and give up and get weary and throw in the towel way before they even get started on their wealth journey, because if they did make the wealth decision, they never associated that decision to the depths of their spiritual being. So this is a spiritual decision. The wealth decision is a spiritual decision. And if you are a believer, if you saved, if you a Christian, and you read the same Bible we read and believe, and we preach about, and we shout about, and we give about, and we serve about, then you need to believe Deuteronomy 8:18. You need to believe that it's a spiritual decision for me to get wealthy. It's a spiritual decision for me to be free to do the things I want to do without financial restrictions. This thing is spiritual. See, this is one of my driving forces. A lot of people watch me, a lot of people who know me, a lot of people see me and they like, man, bro, you out here, you the millionaire mogul, you doing your thizzle in business, but you a preacher, you a prophet, you an apostle, you got a church, you got a nonprofit ministry, you don't mind prophesying, laying hands, preaching, shouting, having church, enjoying things that Christians enjoy, but you over here getting that bag. You know why? Because it's a spiritual decision for me. I hope I'm making sense to you. Okay. The second thing your wealth decision has to be dialed in and grouped into is the mental aspect or the mental side of your life, because the wealth decision has to be mental. Okay. So let's just assume you understand that the wealth decision is spiritual. Okay. Now it's time for you to understand that the wealth decision is mental. And when I say mental, the root of your mental life is your mind. It's how you think. It's how you process information. It's how you consciously and cognitively think about certain things. So that means I've got to check in mentally when it comes to wealth. So let me give you an example. You can have a job, okay? Or you could be doing something or going somewhere, and you could be there physically but not be there mentally. Have you ever had that experience? You went to a family reunion, you went to an event, you went to a certain activity, or you went to work or wherever you go, and you there but you ain't there. It's because you never mentally checked into that particular thing. You could be in a relationship with people and never mentally connect to that person, which means you never really wrap your mind around the importance and the significance and the priority of that person, that place, and that thing. Well, the wealth decision has to be mental. You got to check in mentally. Now I need my mind to accept. I need my mind to accept the reality of wealth. I need my mind to accept the reality of freedom. And once I start accepting this reality of wealth and freedom in my mind, guess what happens? I develop what we call a mindset. The word mindset is a compound word. The prefix, I know this ain't class, but it is class. The prefix is mind. The suffix is set. So once you start wrapping your mind around the idea and the concept of wealth and the concept and idea of freedom, what happens is you can start feeding your mind information and education and giving your mind the experience so that it can start getting set to a certain standard. So now you ain't gonna never get comfortable. And some people are not comfortable being uncomfortable at a certain financial place. So you got some people, they start making a $50,000 a year and they get comfortable. You know why? Because their mind is not set to a higher standard. Some people make $100,000 a year and they swear up and down they done hit the lottery. And guess what happened? Their mind is set on that level because it's never set to a high standard. So the wealth decision is mental. Okay, number 3, the wealth decision is emotional. The wealth decision is emotional. How is the wealth decision? How is a decision to be wealthy? How is a decision to have freedom to do what you want to do with no financial restrictions? How is that emotional? Because you have to feel this thing. Like you got to feel this thing. Someone was asking me about how me and my wife operate in business and ministry, and I was explaining to them, for me and my wife, it's so easy for us to do what we do 7 days a week. You know why? Because it's a part of our life, it's our lifestyle, and we are spiritually, mentally, and emotionally committed and dedicated to this being life for us. So we're not just working a job or running a business or leading a church or operating in certain activities. We're living. Do you understand what I'm saying? We're living. We live in life. So it don't feel like a job because we work 7 days a week. Like literally every day of the week, me and my wife, we doing something between ministry and business. Now you like, well, how you gonna have time for her? How y'all gonna have time for the kids? How you gonna have time for this? How you gonna have time for that? See, you missing the memo, dog. You missed the memo, boo. We doing all that while we doing that. Like we enjoying each other. We're enjoying the kids, the grandkids, the siblings and family members and friends. We're doing life. But we can't do this if we're not spiritually, mentally, and number 3, emotionally engaged. So for example, I can't be coming here to work to my place of business and I have my team meeting and I bring my staff together and I'm in there, well, y'all know, we got to get that bag today. We just, I don't know how we going, and I'm coming up on the rough side of the mountain and all this kind of crazy. No, we're excited. We're excited. We're excited about life. We're excited about God. We're excited about possibilities. We're excited about freedom. Me and my team, we was in there in our meeting this morning talking, and we wasn't just talking about doing business. We wasn't just talking about getting deals. We wasn't just talking about making sales, but we was talking about saving souls. We was talking about helping families. We was talking about seeing lives change and helping people get out of the perpetual cycles of poverty and the perpetual cycles of struggle. And that's exciting. So we are emotionally engaged with this wealth decision. So if you made the wealth decision, that decision should be, number 1, spiritual, number 2, mental, and number 3, emotional. If you feel me, you feel me. And I really hope you feel me. Number 4, the wealth decision is environmental. Now this is a hard one. I don't know, the wealth decision might be the hardest when it comes to the environmental side. How is a wealth decision environmental? Well, the wealth decision is environmental because sometimes you have to leave certain environments to achieve wealth, to achieve ultimate freedom. I know some people right now, they scared to leave where they grew up at because they fear the unknown, but they're stuck in a perpetual cycle in the known. You get what I'm saying? Now, I'm not going to say everybody has to leave their hometown, but what I'm saying is a whole lot of people have to leave where they at if they're going to make something happen. I know some people here in Atlanta who grew up in Atlanta and who are successful here in Atlanta. I know some people in other areas who are successful where they grew up at. But I know a whole lot of people who grew up in areas that are not like Atlanta. Okay, they're not major cities in America. They're smaller rural areas where there are not a lot of resources. It ain't a lot of activity, or it ain't enough resources or activities to give that person the spread that they need to actually get to wealth or to pursue certain levels of freedom. So they have to make the decision here first. Don't make the decision to leave where you at. Make the decision to get wealthy. Make the decision to be free. And once you make that decision, if your environment is not conducive to that, you've got to be willing to move on. You got to be willing to move on. I tell my students and my clients this all the time. If you are doing business somewhere or doing life somewhere or doing anything somewhere, and where you're doing it is restricting you from pursuing something that you set before you, are you willing to sacrifice that to get to that? Some people ain't willing to sacrifice it. Let me tell you something. 20 years ago, when I met my wife, I met her because I visited Atlanta. I was living in South Florida at the time. 20 years ago. In 2002, I visited Atlanta. That was about my second or third time. I think it was my third time visiting. I think the first time I visited Atlanta was 2001. And then I visited Atlanta again at the end of 2000. So I visited Atlanta, I think, twice in 2001. And it was unrelated. And then 2002, I came up here and visited again, but it was for ministry. It was a preaching engagement. That's when I met my wife. That was 20 years ago. Once we met, I was like, oh yeah. She had just recently, within like a year or so, moved here to Atlanta. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely moving here. I always wanted to move. I knew it was in me. I knew God was dealing with me. And so 19 years ago, when I got married and moved here to Atlanta, guess what? I had to leave my children. I left my mama, my daddy, my siblings. I left everything. I left everything. Everything I knew, everything I was familiar with. I didn't have friends up here. I didn't have family. I didn't have connections and networks. But guess what? I had a decision. That's what I had. I had a decision that, man, I want freedom. I want to be free. I want to be free. I want to be free spiritually. I want to be free mentally. I want to be free emotionally. And I had to be willing to get free environmentally. And some of you right now, your biggest downfall is you scared to leave where you're at, but where you're at ain't producing what you need. And you need to get some fire under your behind and move on to get to where you know you need to be. Okay? Number 5, the wealth decision is economic. The wealth decision is economic. Now, what do I mean by your wealth decision, your decision to become financially free? How is that economic? Well, economics is more than finances, okay? The wealth decision is economic because, let me just help you understand how powerful economics are. When you think about economics, it's not just about money, but economics is about credit. Economics is about debt. Economics is about business. Economics is about investments. Economics is about entrepreneurship. Like economics encompasses a whole lot of different things. So if you make the wealth decision economically, what you're saying is, in order for me to pursue wealth and at some point obtain it, in order for me to pursue freedom to do the things I want to do without financial restrictions and actually obtain it, I've got to be willing. I've got to be willing to learn about money. I got to be willing to learn about credit, about debt, about business, about investments, about entrepreneurship. Hey, I could put a whole lot of stuff on here. I have to learn about systems. I've got to learn about people. These are all the things that I have to learn about because I need an economic decision to be made. So that means I've got to make a decision to learn the things that I want to learn, which brings me to some of the most important things that that summarize everything that I've shared with you, and that is, are you even learning about business? Like, are you currently being educated? Have you ever joined a educational program to teach you about these things? Have you ever been coached? Have you ever been around millionaires and successful people who are doing business on high levels so that you can glean from them? Have you ever been a part of a community for business and finances and entrepreneurship? Have you ever given yourself the opportunity? Have you ever taken the chance to learn more than what you know to get further than where you are? I don't know. I'm asking you that question. Now, if you have and it hasn't worked for you, don't blame me because where you went before didn't work, because it doesn't mean what I'm doing for you can't work. What it means is either you didn't use what you had, or either what you had didn't work to help you get to where you need to be. But I want to give you an opportunity to make that wealth decision and to see to it that in the area of your spiritual life, your mental life, your emotional life, your environmental life, and your economic life, that you can be a part of a community and you can get the education and training and the mentorship and the coaching and the accountability and the support that you need so that you can succeed. I don't know how much you know about me or about the programs that we offer here at Ramonepreston Enterprises. But we have several programs. Our signature program is called the Millionaire Blueprint. It is an online business and financial wealth building system that's made up of hundreds of videos, tutorials, and documents and forms to teach you the most important things of starting and structuring holding companies, entrepreneurship, business ownership, systems and processes like sales, marketing, financials, operations. We teach you real estate investing. We teach you how to set proper goals, how to schedule. We put a program together, and this is why we've called it the Millionaire Blueprint, because it is a literal blueprint on how you can become a millionaire. It's what I use. It's my personal playbook. What got me to be who I am today as a millionaire mogul, to have a $1 million organization or enterprise, is probably worth a couple $1 million. But what got me here was the things that I put together and packaged in this program so that I can show you. That's one of the promises that I made to God and I made to myself 19 years ago when I made the wealth decision to go all the way and be a full-time entrepreneur. And I've never looked back in 19 years. And a part of that promise that I made was, I'm going to create a platform that helps people, whether they're in ministry or not, to bring the pieces of the puzzle of their lives together so that they can be successful. And that's how I birthed Ramonepreston University. And so our Millionaire Blueprint is our signature program. Of course, I do have a one-year mentorship program. It's called the Millionaire Mentorship Program. It includes our blueprint, but it also comes with one-on-one coaching sessions with me, weekly coaching calls like tonight on Monday, 7 o'clock p.m. Every week. We host live weekly coaching calls. We host quarterly workshops where we do deep dives into certain systems and processes like sales and marketing and financials and operations. We also host headquarter days where you have an opportunity to join me and my team here at our headquarters so we can show you the ins and outs. A lot of people never have had an opportunity to see how a $1 million company operates. A lot of people have never even really been close to people who are successful. And I always wanted that for me. I wish I could have been around people like I am 19 years ago, but I didn't have that opportunity, or maybe I just didn't give myself that opportunity, but you have it at your disposal. So if you are making that wealth decision today and you know you need support and reinforcement in those important areas of your life to get educated, to get trained, and you want to be in an environment and in a community that you can trust, you know people have integrity. I've been that. You can Google my name and everything you find out about me, you're going to see, oh, this dude been on the up and up. That's one of the biggest compliments I got a couple weeks ago from somebody that I talked to on the phone who ultimately made the decision to join one of our programs. The gentleman, he told me, he was like, man, I've Googled you. I've done research on you for the last couple years. I've followed you on YouTube and social media. I've watched you. He was like, man, you've been consistent. He said, man, I can't even find nothing bad about you. You got positive reviews on your Google. Your platforms are polished. They all look great. The information is amazing. Your programs are just top notch. That was a compliment for me. But guess what? I don't just want it to be a compliment for me. I want it to be a compliment to you. And so I want you to reach out to me today. All you have to do, I try to make it as easy as possible. All you have to do is text the word millionaire to this number, to 404-478-7213. And I want to give you access to my Millionaire Blueprint. I want to give you access to my online training program. I want to teach you how to start and structure holding companies. I want to teach you how to run those holding companies as an asset manager. If you're a coach or a consultant and you really don't know how to accelerate your business in coaching and consulting, I teach principles and concepts that will change your life when it comes to you being a coach and a consultant. Listen, I'm a coach and a consultant. Like, all of my divisions under my company are all successful. My coaching division is successful. My consulting division is successful. My training division is successful. And every one of my divisions are six-figure divisions, multiple six-figure divisions. I mean, what I'm telling you is true. I've got receipts to show it. So I'm not just capping and trying to put on for the internet, but I'm open and transparent and honest about what I do and what I've accomplished, because I want people to hear that and I want people to see it, and I really want you to know it, because I want you to have it. I want you to see it, hear it, and know it, so that you can believe you can have it, as long as you're willing to make the wealth decision. So all you have to do is text the word millionaire to this number, and here's what's going to happen. You text millionaire to this number, we're going to reach back out to you. Okay? And when we reach back out to you, of course, we're going to congratulate you and thank you for even making that decision. And we'll just ask you a few questions to see where you are in your business and finances and what exactly you want to accomplish. And we can share more information with you about our programs, our online training program. We can share more information with you about our coaching program and any other program that we have that may fit the criteria for what you need. Like, we don't just want to give you access to something that we know ain't gonna work. We want to give you access to programs that we know are going to best fit you and meet the criteria for what you want to accomplish in your business or in your finances or maybe in your ministry or all of the above. But we can't even assess your situation. We can't even use our strengths as consultants and coaches and trainers in business and finances and economics and wealth building. We can't even give you that if you don't reach out to us. So I want you to text millionaire to 404-478-7213. Listen, I appreciate you for even taking the time to join the Ramonepreston Show today, to give me an opportunity to share valuable information with you. Listen, this information has taken me from hood figure to seven figures. I was raised in poverty. I haven't had an education beyond a GED. Everything that I know as a businessman, everything I know as an investor, everything I know as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as a consultant, even as a minister and a leader in the church, this is information that I have taken over 2 decades to learn. I'm self-educated, but I made it my business to become so good at what I do that I know I could impact and educate and inspire billions of people to duplicate what I've done. Because if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I don't want it to just be anybody. I want it to be you. All right? So I want you to text millionaire to 404-478-7213. And please, one more thing before you go. One more thing before you go. One more thing before you go. Would you please be so kind to put in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from today's show? Like, maybe there was an aha moment for you. Maybe there was something that I said among many things that just stood out the most, and you feel like, man, if it's one thing I got to take away from the show, bruh, it's that right there. I would love for you to put that takeaway in the comments, because again, we have thousands of people who watch our videos. Even when it's not watched live, we have people that come back and watch the replays over and over and over again on social media. And I would love for them to know where you watch from when you put your city in the comments. And I would love for them to at least hear what your biggest takeaway was. All right. I appreciate you so much for joining me today on the show. I'll be back here tomorrow, Tuesday, December the 13th, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time. Same place, right here on the Ramonepreston Show. Until tomorrow, have an amazing Millionaire Monday, and I look forward to hearing from you. Text millionaire to 404-478-7213.